Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Filipinx in Wellness. This evening, Filipinx in Wellness presents East Asian Medicine with Melissa Rojas and Sapho Flor in honor of the Lunar New Year, Year of the Tiger. So, for those of you who will be utilizing closed captions for this evening's stream, you can activate it on YouTube on the bottom right, and on Facebook, it is the three dots on the top corner, and also on Kumu.
Our opening track that you were just listening to is called Balance by Classy on Beat Rock Music's Dirty Cortez EP. Shout out to Grizion and Classy for granting permission to use their track. At this time, I'd like to introduce our co-host Cheryl.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cheryl Sampson Ramirez. My chosen pronouns are she, her, sha. I'm currently streaming from unceded Tongva Peach Territory in the city of Los Angeles. I do not have any current access needs at the moment, but we will be broadening access for our audience through closed captions on your platforms and by providing an audio recording that you can access after this evening. I'm a licensed clinical social worker working within education, a registered yoga instructor, and a Reiki 2 practitioner. Today's wellness check-in is, what are you bringing into the space today, and how are you managing it? So for me, I was nervous in the beginning with our pilot and our video launch and live stream, but thanks to Ryan for grounding us, I am feeling way more relaxed and excited to do this for y'all. So how am I managing it? I'm managing it with Ryan's breathing exercise. And now I would like to take the opportunity to introduce one of our co-hosts and moderators for Pilipinx in Wellness, who we will also be interviewing this evening, Sapho Flor.
Hi everyone, Maayong gabi, good evening. My name's Sapho. I use they, them, shall pronouns. And I'm streaming in from Ohlone Territory, also known as Oakland, California. I don't also have any current access needs right now. And what I'm bringing in to the space today, I could feel my heart beating very fast. I'm not sure if that's nervousness or excitement. But yeah, Ryan definitely helped with the breathing exercise, and I will continue to take deep breaths and try to talk slowly. And yeah, I'm super excited to be here today. So I'd like to now introduce our co-host for tonight and moderator, Ryan Loren.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in this globe, in this space. My name is Ryan Loren. My chosen pronouns are he, him, his. I'm currently streaming from the traditional homelands of the Council of the Three Fires, the Ottawa, Ojibwe, Potawatomi nations, which is Chicago. By trade, I am a registered licensed yoga professional over 10 years. Started off in the Chicago Bay Area, and now I'm currently in the tri-state, which is New Jersey. Currently, I do not have any access needs, but just to be on top of that, just being physically, mentally, and spiritually in the space, and just really to be in the present moment. Currently still feeling a little bit of the jitters, excited, nervousness, but as with all things, this is the first time streaming live with you all. So just really managing all the feels by just listening and maintaining my breath. So thank you.
We welcome you all to our initial Pilipinx in Wellness segment on the SoCal Filipino StreamYard platform, East Asian Medicine with Melissa Rojas and Sapho Flor in honor of the Lunar New Year, Year of the Tiger. This is our first live video and audio stream. Rianne and I initially launched on the Clubhouse platform, and now we're expanding to do both video and audio sessions to create broader access for our community. Some of you have also asked for recorded sessions, So we hope to provide for you on our recorded sessions on both the Pilipinx in Wellness and SoCal Filipinos YouTube channels, and are excited to upload our audio sessions onto the Apple Podcast platforms. Please stay tuned for when we make that transition happen. Pilipinx in Wellness's vision is to support the wellness of the Pilipinx community through resource sharing, podcast streams, and partnerships with professionals and organizations in order to live healthier, happier, and more fulfilling lives. If you're not following us already, please feel free to follow us, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, at Pilipinx in Wellness on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitter via the handle at Pilipinx, followed by the letter N, well, followed by the letters NS, which is all one word. Please also hit the subscribe button on our newly created Pilipinx in Wellness YouTube channel. Unique to Pilipinx in Wellness, we honor this safe space and ask everyone to comment and post questions respectfully from your heart throughout our streaming time. As mentioned, we also would like to inform you that this session is being recorded and will be available afterwards to access on our SoCal Filipinos and Pilipinx in Wellness's YouTube channels. Please keep in mind that anything that is discussed today is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not meant to be medical advice. Always consult with your healthcare practitioner for your particular condition, especially before starting any exercise or new health program.
Pilipinx in Wellness was formed out of a need for conversation around topics that, really affect the wellness of our Pilipinx community. We're also here to highlight Pilipinx individuals and organizations that are actively just really doing wellness work. So, if you have any questions throughout any of the time throughout our segments, or comments for our host or guests, just read the instructions on the screen, and our lovely mod will be helping us in with our moderation for this evening.
I have the honor to present our Melissa Rojas of Little Sage Acupuncture and Herbal Medicine, and our very own Sapho Flor of Sapho Flor Integrative Wellness. Let's start with introducing Melissa. Melissa Rojas is an acupuncturist, herbalist, and owner of Little Sage in Long Beach, California. She's passionate about providing natural and holistic ways of healing the mind, body, and spirit. She specializes in treating women's health and pediatrics.
Sapho, they, them pronouns, is a queer, non-binary East Asian medicine practitioner currently living on Ohlone Territory, also known as the Bay Area. Their parents immigrated here to Turtle Island from Iloilo and Zambales, Philippines. After practicing massage and body work over a decade, they have expanded their practice to helping folks with chronic pain using acupuncture, herbs, and other modalities. Their focus is to really encourage and support an individual's movement towards overall freedom and a sense of wholeness by providing a safe space to heal and grow.
Sapho is a part of our Pilipinx in Wellness team, but we would also like to welcome to Pilipinx in Wellness for the first time, Melissa Rojas. Hi, Melissa, and hi, Sapho. Feel free to say hello to our viewers and our audience.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. So excited to be here with you all.
Awesome. Amazing, y'all. So as we begin our journey tonight, I'd love to ask you both, for all of our audience and guests this evening, just exactly what is East Asian medicine? So let's start and kick us off. We'll have you, Melissa, start off, and then Sapho.
Well, East Asian medicine, it's also called traditional Chinese medicine, is a holistic approach to promote health and healing. And the reason why there's difference in terms is to also recognize the various other schools of practice that have been developed in like China, Japan, and Korea. And it's a complete medical system that's been around for over 2,500 years. And the basic concept is that there is a vital energy, vital life force inside of all of us, the qi coursing throughout our body. We call it qi. And any imbalance in that flow of qi in the body may cause illness. And the way that we bring the body back into balance is through East Asian medicine. What we know here in the West, most of all, is acupuncture, but there's many other branches of East Asian medicine, such as herbal medicine, food therapy, Moxibustion, cupping, Tuina, and Qigong. And, I'm sure Sapho will add to about what those things are or anything else.
Yeah, East Asian medicine can be like there's branches of it in different countries. So, like Melissa said, there's Japanese medicine, Korean medicine, and most commonly known is traditional Chinese medicine here in the West. And yeah, it like Melissa said, there's not just acupuncture to help balance out the energy in the body when it's stuck, but there's cupping and moxibustion, and of course herbs. So there are also various ways that people do this because we're all trained differently and follow different lineages and follow different teachers. So it's a very complex system. And but basically, if you think about our bodies as nature, we like to diagnose by looking at the body to have different elements that is in nature already, like fire, water, metal, earth, and wood. So, yeah, just to keep it brief, we're all part of nature, and that is how a lot of other indigenous medicines look at the body too.
I actually have like a follow-up question for you all. I know, Melissa, you went into some of the different modalities, including Qigong and Tuina you were mentioning, and Moxibustion. Do you mind explaining to our audience a little bit more about what each of those are for maybe some of us that are new to East Asian medicine?
Yeah, sure. So acupuncture, and that most people are probably familiar with, or maybe it's the first time that you're hearing about it, is the use of like sterile, fine, thin, like hair thin needles to tap points into the body. And the whole idea, as we mentioned earlier, was to bring the body into balance. There's like different channels, we call them meridians, in the body. You can kind of think of them as highways, and each organ inside the body has a different channel that runs through it. And so that's what we're tapping into by using the acupuncture. And there's also herbal medicine and food therapy. So we always say that food is always the first medicine. And a lot of the herbs that we actually use in East Asian medicine incorporate a lot of food items. And then the actual herbal medicine is quite sophisticated, dating back thousands of years of formulas that have been used in all kinds of for chronic pain, gynecology, pediatrics. And if you see an East Asian medicine practitioner, they put together, a herbal formula that is customized just for you based on their diagnosis. And Sapho mentioned it earlier, there's many layers of diagnosis, and with a commonality that we connect it back to nature. How can our internal organs connect and be in harmony with all the elements outside of us in nature? Moxibustion is burning of an herb called aye, most traditionally, along the same channels or pathways. So we can use it along with acupuncture. Cupping, you might have seen it, I think Michael Phelps in the Olympics, and more sports people are using it. When you see marks on their back, that's we use glass or plastic cups to draw out the toxins from the body and increase the lymph movement. Tuina is like a Chinese massage, a very specific massage to move the channels. And then Qigong is a very special practice of cultivating your own Qi. You can practice it on your own and with other people. So that was just like a brief description of all of the different modalities or different branches included in East Asian medicine. Sapho, you want to add? Did I forget something?
Oh, that was great. I think you got most of it. I mean, there's just so much more, though. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Let me ask you both. Obviously I'm very new to acupuncture. I haven't done it yet. I almost got into it back in New York City. But my question to you both is, how would you advise someone, starting to really explore into East Asian medicine? I would say top of mind, it's specifically acupuncture, cupping. How would you guide someone new in terms of, if like I'm a little frightened by needles at times, but how would you ease someone to give it a whirl?
Do you want to take this one, Sapho? Or
Yeah, I could go first. So yeah, there's a lot of folks who think about the needles to be like the needles we see in the hospital, the hypodermic needles, or like the vaccine ones. They're literally like what Melissa was describing, is very, very feather thin. Um, and yeah, they're not gonna feel like how the needles you've already experienced, like in the past in the hospitals. It's actually a really relaxing experience. The needles help to move the energy that might be blocked in your body. So it could be in various places, depending on what your practitioner finds. And we also we don't just go in and needle you. We have to look at your tongue or check your pulses. So feeling the pulses, we can feel how your organs are. Looking at your tongue, we can see literally like what's going on in your body, in the internal organs. So yeah, I think that depending on the clinic or the type of environment your practitioner is in, they really ease you in and like go through a whole consultation and talk about health history. So I think it's a really might be a little nervous at first experience, but it's gonna be really relaxing and stress reducing.
It's awesome. Melissa?
yeah, for patients new to the clinic, I always give the analogy, like you can imagine like there's like a river flowing and there's like clear water, and then suddenly it starts getting slower and there's like mud and rocks stuck like in the middle. So what happens to the water? It can't flow really well. And so what we're doing with the acupuncture is that we're tapping it in so that we can either remove the blockage. Sometimes we remove one rock, sometimes we remove a lot of rocks. So the feeling that you'll get is not pain, but it's like a heaviness or heavy distension, or maybe even a tingling, depending on where it is. And it's because what we're trying to do is remove those rocks. So as you can imagine, there's going to be like either a trickle of water coming through, or if we remove a lot of rocks, it's like a gush. And so the feeling of that can be different for everyone. But as Sapho talked about earlier, is that what it does is that it creates more flow in your body to help relax you. And from a Western point of view, they've done a lot of research on it, that it actually increases the endorphins in the brain. In other words, it releases like happy hormones. And so you from a biological, physical point of view, it actually is helping relax all areas of your body.
Thanks, Melissa. As you were saying that and like talking about the rocks, I could feel the release going on in my body. Like I was just getting needled at the moment while you were speaking. We'd love to learn a little bit more about both of your origin stories. So if you can maybe take the time to tell us, our audience and our viewers, those that are listening to us, what led you onto this journey of pursuing East Asian medicine and on this path to alternative healing? And we could start with Melissa and then Sapho.
Yeah, I think before I even knew it, it was kind of like, waiting for it to be a conscious, I guess, choice on my part, because I think ever since I was small, I was around my grandfather, great grandfather, and then grandmother, who, are my great grandfather was a botanist in the Philippines, who wrote like a book on medicinal plants in the Philippines that I didn't even really discover until I was starting to really study East Asian medicine. And, I think those influences led me to wanting to pursue a path in healing. And of course, at that time, I thought it was to be a doctor, but fast forward to also, I did a lot of activism work and community work. And the first time that I was actually introduced to acupuncture was when I was in the Philippines, where it was used a lot in the communities there. And when I came back to the US, having gone through a lot of physical ailments myself, and also having gone being a survivor of trauma, it was really the healing of acupuncture and herbal medicine that really helped me go through that time in terms of dealing with the physical and also the spiritual, the emotional toll that it took on me. It wasn't until I started really practicing Qigong and Qi cultivation, incorporating it into my life, and realizing the power of it. And I just wanted to study it even more, and so that I can help other people. I really felt passionate about that. And every time, I see someone at the clinic and use this medicine, it just kind of brings home how much it feels right and good in terms of like in my body, and in terms of how I see people benefiting from this medicine. And so that's kind of like a brief story of how I came about East Asian medicine and continue to practice it.
I would love to see that book, Melissa, that your grandfather wrote, but I'll ask you after the show. Yeah, so my origin story, every time I get into this, I always start like in my 20s, but I really think that my origin story starts before I was born. My Lola Gabina, my dad's mom, she also practiced a lot of herbalism in the Philippines, in Iloilo. And I only hear stories from my dad just the past couple years, like when I was starting to study acupuncture and massage. Like, that's the only time that I heard about her working with herbs. And like, if someone got sick, like really far in the village, she would go in the rain just to like bring some herbs that she find just around her. Like, my dad was like, I'd watch her like just grab all this like different things from different plants and then go off in the rain to bring it to your cousins or something. And um yeah, I really think that she's definitely been guiding me. um so, and also when I was younger, I am an only child, so I didn't really have many people to play with. And I just be outside, and my dad has a green thumb, so he'd plant malunggay and bitter melon. There's bayabas and um, guava, and then a lot of citrus trees, calamansi, tangerine. So all these trees were like my friends when I was little, and I didn't know it then, but like I was communicating with them. They were like my friends, you know. So I really think that that was definitely a foundation of how I see plants and, plant energy, plant spirits, and how I utilize it in my practice. Um, and then my career path, just to keep it brief, of course, being Filipinx, my family convinced me to become a nurse. So I did licensed vocational nursing for about a couple months. And I was like, this isn't aligned with my heart. Like, it was just really hard to do. So I studied massage. And then when I moved to the Bay from Tongvaland, from Los Angeles, I got a job doing massage at an acupuncture clinic. And then I saw the Chinese herbs on the wall for the first time. And I'm like, I need to know what this is. And then slowly my dad started telling me all these stories about my Lola. So it's just interesting how, like, time is non-linear, and like my path is not linear. And I'm just really grateful to have found it in this life.
Wow, those are just touching accounts and of hearing you both about how you got started into East Asian medicine. And I think it's also very honorable that you both followed a familial tradition in both of your families. It almost seems like you both are destined to do this path of healing, and I'm just wowed at how you're able to carry on these traditions, being descendants of healers within your families. And Melissa, I'm also curious. Do you have the name and the title of that book that you're?
I do. I have it in my library. And what's interesting is actually I knew he was a botanist and I knew he studied medicinal herbs in the Philippines, but I didn't know, until I was studying it. And one of my cousins says, "Oh, do you have this book?" And so it's like do you guys want to see it?
Yeah.
So it's the medicinal plants of the Philippines, and the author is Eduardo Quisumbing. And so very honored to actually, and once I knew that, it was almost like what Sapho was saying, it's almost like it was leading you up to that moment where you accepted that this was, because things and ingrained in society, like doctor, nurse, these paths that you're on, but in your heart, that you're being led a different path back into this healing medicine, the medicine of plants, the power of plants.
Melissa, one more time, if you can show us the title and author of that book for our viewers and audience.
So it's I think it's still in print, but it's Medicinal Plants of the Philippines by Dr. Eduardo Quisumbing. And it really is what I found, like, it's this thick book. So it actually really is has all of this great information about all of the different, he compiled it from the different places in the Philippines. And just a brief story was that it was actually destroyed, the manuscript, during the war, and then his son had salvaged it, and then they had reprinted the book.
Wow. Okay. And also, maybe for those of our audience that are listening in, do you mind spelling the last name for us?
Sure. Yeah, it's Quissumbing.
And for those of our audience that might be interested in purchasing the book, any leads on that?
That's the difficult part. So I'm not sure if it's available here, but I think, and even the Philippines, when I tried to have, I think it's available in the big bookstore, National Bookstore. I'm not sure, but it's, I hope it's still in print. Yeah.
That's awesome. We'll definitely be on the lookout for that, for sure. Yeah, so I mean, this is all really just juicy juju and goodness that I'm definitely feeling it right now, right? So yeah, let me just take this, just a quick moment. Again, like I said, this is really amazing stuff. I love the dialogue, the conversations that we're having. I just want to take this moment again to just thank all of you for joining us, along with our audience and our guests. Again, joining us this evening with Pilipinx and Wellness. Again, we're talking with our very own Sapho Flor and Melissa Rojas of Little Sage about East Asian medicine. Again, all in honor of the Lunar New Year, Year of the Tiger. So don't go away. We are actually going to take a quick break. So feel free to take a quick stretch, have some tea, and we'll definitely be right back after this break. And I know there was a comment earlier. We can possibly do some meditation or something a little bit later on. So again, take this break and we'll be right back, y'all.
Welcome back to Pilipinx and Wellness. You were listening to Freddie Joachim's track Head Scratchers on the Voices in My Head EP album. We're talking with our own Sapho Flor of Sapho Integrative Wellness and Melissa Rojas of Little Sage Acupuncture and Herbal Medicine about East Asian medicine in honor of the Lunar New Year, Year of the Tiger. We'd like to take a pause here and see if we have any questions or comments in the queue that Jason, our very own SoCal Filipinos moderator, would like to mention at this time. Jason, were there any special comments or questions from our viewers in the chat? And if you do have them now, feel free to put them in the chat.
Actually, I did find one that was messaged to me. So in terms of listening to your stories, both Melissa and Sapho, when you first started noticing the intuition, the calling, the signs, right, into kind of like your professional lives now, what's kind of like your pro tip for somebody, you know, who's kind of like on the edge of like maybe, you know, a career change or maybe a career start? What advice would you give to someone that's kind of like, I want to try something different, I want to try something new and explore? Like what would you say is a good way to like pivot or transition?
Yeah, I actually have like a few people, or like a couple people have asked me now this question. They're just kind of like really into healing in their own healing path, but they want to learn more. But I would usually just say to experience the medicine or experience different parts of East Asian medicine, or even like other healing paths, because it can, depending on the timing in their lives, like everything's different. You can't just, you know, do something and expect it to work. But I would say just every moment listen to your heart in whatever you experience as far as any healing modality. And I think that will actually just lead people to what they need to do as far as changing a career path. I I think that like when I was doing nursing, and it just didn't feel good in my body. Like it literally, like I respect all the nurses out there. I'm so grateful. It's just not for me. Like I couldn't do it in, like I wasn't able to sleep. Well, I literally, like my physical body wasn't functioning well. So I think that in anything that anyone chooses to do or explore, like really listen to your body and it'll tell you.
Yeah, I agree so much with Sapho, because, you know, even in the Filipino community, right, because of our history of like colonization and patriarchy, a lot of that healing, a lot of our connection into nature and into that ancestral tradition has been cut off. And so, you know, the beginning of attuning yourself to what feels good in your body is to like Sapho said, is to tap into those energies by trying different healing modalities. And even I think nature is very healing, whether it's in your garden, or out on the beach, or even simply walking down the street and noticing the flowers and the trees, makes you more in tune to like what your heart is saying. And in theme with the Lunar New Year, and it's a year of the tiger, the predictions actually are out there that this is the year that if you're going to change careers, it's a good year to do it. Because after 2 years of hibernating, year of the ox, and then year of the rat, finally you have like the tiger, the pounce, you know, the energy of the tiger. And if you want to set goals, this is a good year to do it and to try new things and to go for it.
That's interesting that you mentioned that, as a lot of people seem to be shifting careers and job roles during the pandemic. And now it's even more reassuring that it's the year of the tiger and the time to do that. So, yeah, thank you so much for sharing that prediction for the year of the tiger. Yeah, so Giuseppe Cares is saying in the comments, change careers, thinking about it. And we also have a question from John Eric Pabalan. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, Pabalan. So John Eric says, thank you for this panel. Out of curiosity, when you get sick with a mild fever, do you practice Eastern or Western medicine, or both? And maybe we could start this time with Sapho and follow up with Melissa.
Yeah, for me, I guess what's good to know is that East Asian medicine is used a lot for preventative medicine. So it's definitely helpful when you already have a condition to help manage it. But primarily it's been used to be preventative care. So for me, yeah, I definitely turn to herbal formulas first if I start to feel any kind of symptom. And again, if you're getting acupuncture pretty frequently, you'll feel more in tune with your body and you'll know when like you're starting to feel sick, or if you stayed out too long in the cold and the wind like I did today. And you don't have like a covering on your head and your neck. There are a lot of ways to prevent that from getting worse. So yeah, I go to Eastern medicine first. And then if I'm in like really acute pain, like a really bad headache, I turn to Western medicine. Like both are really great. And it's just a matter of where you're at in your body. But I would use Eastern medicine to prevent things first.
For me, I do use East Asian medicine for myself and my family. I have two little ones, and I find it really effective, especially for me and my family and the kids to take something right away. And when I do that, when I start them on an herbal formula right away, their fever only lasts like a day, and or a cough doesn't linger for 2 or 3 weeks. It usually resolves pretty fast. And for myself, like Sapho was mentioning, if I feel even a little bit like achy or my neck, or during this pandemic time, for example, even when I go out in a crowded area, like say I have to go grocery shopping, I actually already drink my herbs, so to prevent sickness from coming. Or if I do, like actually a fever is just a sign. It's not really like necessarily bad to have a fever, unless of course it gets higher or if it's prolonged, but it's just a sign, a signal that your body's trying to fight off something. So going with the principles of Chinese medicine, what it's doing is supporting your body so that you can get over the cold faster. It doesn't mean that you won't get a cold or you won't get a sniffle or fever. It just means that it's kind of building up your body so that you're able to fight it more effectively, and you won't have as prolonged of a sickness.
It's awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Melissa. I just want to take again, just brief moment. Thank you to our viewers for obviously sharing your comments, your questions. Let's circle back to Melissa and Sapho with our next question. So, are there any, I would say, specific acupunctural points, areas of drainage, or maybe even some breathing techniques that you would like to demonstrate for our viewers? Obviously, top of mind as we all have gone through this within the past, obviously, 2 years now. For someone that may either have symptoms of what we now are aware, obviously COVID is around us still, right? Any things that you could recommend for somebody that may have the symptoms, maybe they're COVID positive, or maybe just even the simple cold, or maybe the common flu that we tend to see year over year? Do you have any tips, pro tips, techniques that you'd like to share? Sapho, Melissa?
Yeah. So I would highly recommend folks, if they want to, or if they get sick or sick with COVID, to definitely seek an acupuncturist or a practitioner. I think it's kind of hard to say specific formulas. Like I don't want to, give them out over the internet. But I would highly recommend getting acupuncture, making an appointment to see an herbalist if you get sick with COVID. There are a lot of formulas out there, not a lot. There are specific formulas for COVID and also to modify it for Omicron, but you would definitely have to, see an herbalist or practitioner.
Yeah, and then I think also in the Filipino community, even when or traditionally, if you get sick, something. Well, I think we'll get into it a little bit later in terms of specific, like home or food remedies. But in terms of how to address that, is I always tell people that in terms of like the actual pandemic and COVID, like East Asian medicine is really good in the beginning stages, and helping support you. We can't say that it will cure it, but to support your body in terms of getting over the virus. But once you have any like trouble breathing or anything like that, then it's really critical that you see your primary care and always be in touch with them. And then our role here as East Asian Medicine Practitioner is to support you the best we can in terms of like giving you herbs that will help your immunity. And as we'll learn a little bit later, helping the lungs, because the lungs are very important in terms of like the first organ in Chinese medicine that gets attacked is the lung system. In East Asian medicine, and so protecting that is really crucial. So a lot of our formulas, a lot of them, there's a formula called jade windscreen that has traditionally been used over 3,000 years, and it means exactly like that. If you can imagine it, it's like a screen that you can screen away from the wind. The wind is a very important factor in Chinese medicine, that once it lodges inside, and you want to prevent that wind from coming inside of your body. So a lot of the concepts in East Asian medicine is to help protect against that wind, to help protect the body against those pathogens.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I do have a Qigong exercise to share right now, which is for the lungs. Let me just make sure it can be seen. So like Melissa was saying, the lungs are the first to get attacked by cold or wind. So it's important to build that lung qi. We call it Wei Qi, WEI. It's protective qi. So this exercise is to help cultivate that lung qi. Make sure you can see. Okay, and if any of these movements feel unnatural or, not easeful, please don't do it. Take care of yourself, and you can actually do it in your mind. Like just follow along and visualize it. It still works. Qigong is amazing like that. So we can start by raising your arms in front of you with your palms facing down. And it should be at the level of your chest, but if that doesn't feel good for your shoulders, you can lower it down. So we can start by inhaling slowly. Open your arms to your sides. And then when you get to the sides, face your palms upwards. And then touch your thumbs and index fingers together. So when you close your arms, your pinkies will start to touch. So let's try that one more time. Inhale and start imagining this big white light in front of you. White is a color of metal, which is the element of the lungs. And then open your palms upwards, touch your fingers together, and then bring it back in. Let's do it one more time. So imagine big white light in front of you. Touch your fingers together, and then bring that white light to fill your lungs and to help strengthen it and strengthen your immunity. And this exercise will also help decrease stress, to help relax you if you do it slowly and breathe with it. I would do it up to like 1 or 2 minutes. You can do it like a few times a week, or do it in your mind. It's just to help build that protective lung qi and stimulate your immune system.
That's so awesome, Sapho. I'm definitely going to add that on to my daily rituals. So great.
Yeah, and I think we also have a photo that Sapho shared with us of the lung meridian. We can.
Yes. So if you can see that the lung channel and meridian, it ends at your thumb, and then its paired organ, which is the large intestine, ends at the index finger. So it kind of looks like that mudra, but it's actually connecting those two metal organs.
And is it only on the left side, Sapho,
It's
of the
on both
body?
sides.
Okay.
Yeah, both arms. It was just a picture.
So these points that we're looking at, if we can kind of dig a bit deeper, are these acupuncture or acupressure points? And maybe if you can tell us a little bit more, either Sapho and or Melissa too, to chime in about what we're looking at here.
Yeah, so these are acupuncture points. They can also be used for acupressure, like maybe not all of them, but I think the one that I use a lot is the one on in front of your shoulder. It's lung 1 and lung 2, up by your clavicle, the chest area. So yeah, you can probably feel there. It could be, usually it's really tender. But you could think of these points when you do that exercise, because you're moving the energy in your arms in the lung meridian.
Yeah, and adding to what Sapho said, it's really great. If you see this picture, you can actually, acupressure is very doable, like on yourself. If you just press the points to stimulate the lung meridian. And with a lot of the Qigong, that was great, Sapho, by the way. I really felt the energy. And practicing things like Qigong we often focus on certain organs to move the Qi through them.
And someone in our audience also mentioned that they felt their back crack in a good way. So thank you for that, Sapho. You had mentioned something that I'd like to follow up on and maybe lean into deeper. I noticed as you were doing the Qigong practice that the index finger to the thumb is similar to what Ryan and I know in the yoga community as mudras, and you had mentioned that correlation. And also, I'm wondering if there's a connection between that and when you were talking about the meridians, I'm also wondering if there is a correlation between meridians and chi points. Maybe if either of you want to tackle that.
Was it meridians and the Qi points?
Yes, and meridians, chi points, and chakras as well.
Yeah. So then a lot of, like, talking about the mudras, a lot of the energy of the organs and the meridians are concentrated a lot in the hands and the feet. So if you've been to an acupuncturist, the hands and the feet are very powerful centers of energy. And so when you do the mudras, it's tapping into each of the organs and meridians of the body. And so it resonates very much with that. And even with the different chakra points, yeah, definitely corresponds to some points. I think the two most ancient traditional medicines that we do have come from China and from India in that tradition. And a lot of the energy systems and the pathways are very similar, right? Like the chakra here that corresponds to the yin tang point, the heart area, Ren 17, and even in the lower abdomen, that's a very special point where we say that the dantian, or the seat of of your energy resides is in that lower abdomen. So which corresponds exactly to the different chakras in Ayurvedic medicine.
I didn't know if Sapho you wanted to add.
Yeah, definitely all of the chakras that I notice have acupuncture points, and they're all really powerful. I think I needle most of them for every patient, actually, especially in tongue, the third eye. Yeah, helping with stress because we all have that.
And then also, I wanted to ask you both, since we're talking about, I guess, correlations and connections between yoga and acupuncture and East Asian medicine and Ayurveda, are there also correlations between Hilot?
My dad also said that my Lola did Hilot, and I didn't find this out till like way after. I don't know why he doesn't tell me these things, but I've honestly been doing more research like as of last year and finding different books, but I can't find a direct correlation. I don't know if you have found any, Melissa, but I know that when I used to do massage more, and I do find that my uh, I don't know if it's Hilot, but I feel like it's different from what I've learned in massage school. Like my style just like kind of turned into something that it's just coming from somewhere. But um, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're correlated. I just don't know exactly like historically. Yeah.
I could probably only speak from like just my little bit of time that I did spend with like in the community with some Hilot, and they would focus on energy centers that are similar to what we would in Chinese medicine and also the chakra system. But yeah, it has its own special tradition. But I just looking back at that time, intuitively, they would know the same points that were like the most important points in the body. And I think that tradition of focusing especially on the energy of the lower abdomen or that abdomen and heart area is really important. Just from what I've seen, not that I'm an expert in Hilot or anything, but just my humble like observations of the community Hilot and the healers in those community I visited.
That's awesome. Thank you. I do have one question, right? So, obviously we're in the field, the industry of just overall health and wellness, right? We're talking about East Asian medicine. Now, if you can dive deeper in terms of like when we're starting to couple things, right? What would be some, in terms of the physicality, right? So a lot of this is done in-house in clinics. What are, I guess if I can frame this way, what types of physical activities outside of East Asian medicine would you kind of like guide your clients to take on, try, or what have you? I know for myself, I'm a yogi by trade, right? And so typically, East Asian medicine, herbs is something that I would typically go to. What would you kind of like remedy up for somebody new, somebody advanced, in terms of like overall physical practice? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean my go-to obviously is like Qigong or Tai Chi. But actually yoga, and I've been a yoga practitioner too for a long time. Like they all like are very similar. I also like find that certain patients have different hobbies that they love to do, that activates that part of their bodies in a very similar way. And as long as your heart is aligned, with your physical practices, and it connects you with your spirit, and to nature, especially. Like, yeah, I'm all for any kind of physical exercise.
Yeah, and I love to just tell patients that even if they can take like a walk, like a very slow like walk down the street, just observing it does, it can do a lot in terms of like mindfulness. So even something simple as like walking, and also even if you're like busy in front of a computer or sitting in front of a computer all day, even like the act of like uh, taking a pause and doing 3 deep breaths can align you with that spirit, can help you feel calmer. I think those simple practices, is really important. And like Sapho said, finding something that you like, because the most important thing is that you're interested in doing it. To be able to do it consistently and to be inspired to do it, you have to really love what you're doing. And so, you can try different things like Qigong, Tai Chi, yoga is really great. And I know there's other things also. Some people love dancing, because that takes them closer to the spirit. And so all of those physical activities are really great. You just have to find one that resonates with you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's hone in now more on the Filipino or Pilipinx community. Given the common health conditions that our community faces, such as high blood pressure, diabetes, hypertension, cholesterol, high cholesterol, how do you both think East Asian medicine can help with these conditions? Do you know of any East Asian herbs or native Pilipinx herbs or vegetables that would be beneficial for our community in combating some of our most common ailments that you can share with us?
I think uh, one thing that is really like a common kitchen staple that I think even in Filipino houses is ginger, right? I think throughout the different cultures, that's definitely a go-to food thing. And they've done research actually in ginger that it does have antiviral, antimicrobial properties. So that's a really great one to have, and it help anything from like a typical like cough, cold, to helping with like digestive problems. And I know there's probably like a wide variety. I think talking about such many things like heart disease, diabetes, is such a wide range. And in East Asian medicine, that's the great thing about it, is that what we do is when we see someone in person, we individualize that diagnosis. So, for example, like 5 people can come in with diabetes, but they would each have a very unique, East Asian medicine diagnosis based on the tongue, the pulse that Sapho mentioned earlier, and of course, like our discussion with them about what makes it better or worse. And then once we figure out the diagnosis, we would be able to pinpoint a more, I think that's the beauty of East Asian medicine, is making it really cater to that individual person. But I think there's many things too that you can find that are great in the garden. A Filipino tradition, right? Like ampalaya is really good for like diabetes, lowering blood sugar. I don't know, Sapho, if you want to chime in too about other like malunggay, things that our parents or grandparents or ourselves might grow also in the backyard that we can take advantage of.
Yeah, those are my favorite. I like use ginger in everything pretty much. But if you have ginger and malunggay and some chicken, then you make chicken
Okay.
tinola, right? So it's like that dish that we already have, that we make all the time, especially when getting sick. Or bitter melon and mungo in mungo. So like mung bean is in the Chinese pharmacopoeia. Um, yeah, and I think that's all I could think. That's the ones that I use mostly. Oh, garlic, of course.
Oh yeah,
Everything.
garlic. Yes. And I almost forgot my favorite one, which is like bulalo, which is like really bone broth. Like, you know, bulalo is like so yummy and so good for you. And it helps, you know, the stomach and line the bones and the tendons. It's a really good one to have. And chicken soup, as you mentioned, Sapho is like a classic cold cure or a cure for everything.
I know, Melissa, that you also have a herbal soup kit that you create at your clinic. Maybe a bit of dialogue around that and what we're seeing on the screen.
Oh yes, yes. So then there's different. This is like a photo from one of the soup kits that we have here at Little Sage, and it has really great herbs. Like most herbs, like that we talked about, that help support the lungs, are really important for helping support your immunity. So that white one on the left is called Wei Qi, or astragalus root. Some of you might be familiar with it. And in Chinese medicine, it enters the lung and the spleen, and it helps like the protective Wei Qi that Sapho was talking about earlier. It's helps with things with helping support your immunity, and they even did studies with it that actually is shown to promote white blood cell count. And so it's good, especially for people that get colds often. The one on the right is reishi mushroom, which is a favorite of mine. And the reishi mushroom is really special because it also has like a calming effect on the body. We call it, anytime in East Asian medicine you hear of an herb calming the shen, it means that it helps with like the emotions, and it helps support the immune system, helps fight stress, and restores and optimizes the adrenal function. So these are what you call like adaptogens. When you hear that, when herbs are adaptogens, they help your body adapt better to stress, to fatigue. And then the red colored herbs on the bottom are also used a lot in food. You might be familiar with the brighter red one on the lower right, which is goji berries. And in East Asian medicine, it's really good for vision and eye health. And it, since ancient times, has been used to help support vitality and beauty. Dat Sao, it's cut up here, but usually this is good also right now for the Lunar New Year. You often see it in tables. It's like around Dat Sao red Chinese dates. And anytime a color of the herb is red, it helps support the blood. So both for the goji berries and the dat sao there. And it's actually the only one of these herbs that don't enter the lung area, but it helps support the stomach. And you know, anytime we help support the stomach, we help support the other organs in the body. And that particular herb is used a lot to harmonize different formulas and support digestion. Much like ginger too. Ginger is really beloved in East Asian medicine as well, and as well as in our communities, because of its that special ability to be able to nourish and protect the stomach. And so this is a favorite of mine mix. I thought of doing this mix because I do it so often at the house with like a really good bone broth, and I just throw those herbs in there. It gives, you know, especially during the winter cold flu season, this is a common soup that I make at home.
And then we're seeing ginger here, where everyone can get at any local market. And then we also have a visual of malunggay. And I'm curious to know, since we're all in different areas, Ryan, feel free to chime in the Midwest and New York. And then also, Melissa, since you're in Long Beach and Sapho was in the Bay Area, for our audience that may need to find malunggay, since it's not always readily found in markets, do you have any suggestions on where they can purchase some malunggay if they're not growing it in their gardens or their family gardens?
I tried to look for malunggay at the grocery store, Filipino store. Sometimes I did, but sometimes I didn't. But what I was surprised to find that at, I think it was at seafood market, that they actually had a small tree, like a small thing that you can plant for malunggay. And if you do find someone that has it, it freezes well, because that's what my father-in-law does. Sometimes he freezes his malunggay in a bag, and we can have it in the freezer for a couple of weeks and then use it in soups.
And then Ryan or Sapho, where can folks find it in the Midwest, the East Coast, or the Bay Area, if you have any suggestions?
I would say here in Chicago, definitely on Argyle. There's a lot of herbal shops. There's a few Asian groceries that do carry. I'm still venturing on the Jersey and New York City side, but I'm pretty sure something like something close to a seafood city equivalent might have them on the Jersey or New York City side.
Yeah, I always go to 99 Ranch, and they always have it there, at least in the Bay Area. I'm sure there's a lot of 99 Ranch down south, but I don't know if there are in the East Coast or Midwest, Ryan.
Yeah, that's 99 Ranch. That's
The
new.
West
That's definitely new for me in the Midwest and East Coast. But I would even take a stab at looking at maybe like an H Mart. I know they're big out there. Seafood City is something still fairly new in the Chicago market. So for sure, Argyle in the uptown neighborhood of Chicago. But yeah, this is definitely I'm gonna start looking, and I'll let y'all know what I find on the Jersey and New York City side. Awesome. All right, so let's just take this moment and take a look at our chat, or if there's any comments or any questions. Awesome, Bernie. Yes, SoCal Filipinos. Frozen one. It looks like some can be readily bought frozen. Happy Night Project. Awesome. Thanks for joining us from Clubhouse. I think that's really all we have so far. Anything else on the back end? All right. Well, if that's any last minutes, I guess we are all good for this evening. So, all right, I want to say again, awesome, Sapho, awesome, Melissa. I just want to say thank you to our amazing community, Pilipinx in Wellness. So if any comments, any feedback, any questions that you may have, definitely send us a note. Now, as we begin to close our segment tonight on East Asian medicine, I'd love to ask you both, Melissa, Sapho, how can our audience, our viewers, globally, regionally, locally, how can they find you both? If they're interested in any of your services, modalities, how can they get in contact with y'all?
So I currently work at 2 clinics, but they're at capacity right now. So I've been doing home visits in the East Bay, in the Oakland area. And yeah, my website should be on the Filipinx and Wellness website or Instagram. And if you subscribe to this YouTube channel and also keep posted on the Filipinx and Wellness platform, I will be here as a co-host. So you can check me out here.
So we're looking at Sapho's homepage. Sapho, this is your homepage, correct? Oh. And your URL is Sapho.
It's saphoflor.com.
Okay. And then we'll go a few slides back and Melissa can maybe talk about her homepage as well and what we're looking at.
Yeah, thank you again for having me. It was really great to be in your presence. And thank you, Sapho, as well for talking about East Asian medicine with me. And this is my website, littlesage.com. And how you can get in touch with me is that's my Facebook handle, and that's the website where you can find my contact information. Here, info at Little Sage, and our phone number. I'm here in Long Beach, California, so any of you that are local. And I want to also make a special announcement, which is I'm about to open up, it's been a couple months, so I'm going to open up enrollment again for my Nourished Little Sage program, which I'm so excited about bringing again. The first round that we had, group of women, was really a wonderful experience, and I want to open it up again soon for all of you. So if you're interested at all, I'm going to have a series of free master classes that I'm going to offer, and then I'm going to open up enrollment for the course. So I think it's on the next slide, maybe, how people can tune in, and there's a website on the bottom, courses.littlesage.com. Yeah. And there's a sign up there to join the list to find out when my master classes and when I'm going to be opening up enrollment. So that's coming soon.
And don't worry if you didn't catch it or if the visuals are going too fast. We'll also have this information available on our Instagram stories for you all to access. All right, well, awesome. Thank you to both our guest speaker and team member, Melissa Rojas of Little Sage Acupuncture and Herbal Medicine, and Sapho Flor of Sapho Flor Integrative Wellness. Our host, SoCal Filipinos, our Pilipinx and Wellness team, including my special co-host for the evening, Ryan Loren, who did awesome, our designer, Richie Ramirez, our advisors, Allison De La Cruz and Rian de los Reyes, Grazian, Classy, and Freddie Joachim for consent to use your tracks. Our community partners is Filipino American Life and Trek Table, and really all of our community members for your shares and contributions this evening. As always, we'll share more about our guest speakers services on our Instagram stories and highlights for permanent access with our upcoming events. Be sure to follow us at Pilipin with a P, X in the middle, in Wellness on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and on Twitter at Pilipinx, the letter N, well, followed by the letters N and S, which are all one word that you can refer to on the bottom of our screen. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on our newly created Pilipinx in Wellness YouTube channel. Once again, tonight's session will be available for you on both the SoCal Filipinos and Pilipinx in Wellness YouTube channels, and we will provide you all this audio version on Apple Podcasts after this evening's recording.
Awesome. So yeah, I want to take this also moment to look out, y'all, for our next session that will take place on Wednesday, February 16th, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We will be featuring Sunshine Zerda. So she is a Lululemon ambassador for Australia and New Zealand. She is also an ambassador for the Yoga Impact Charity Impact Charity. She's also a wellness consultant, a retreat organizer, as well as DJ. So come join us that evening as we talk about one of my favorite passions, yoga, and overall fitness and wellness. So maraming salamat, y'all. Have amazing, great evening, good night, morning, afternoon, wherever you are in this world. Continue to take care of yourselves and, most importantly, each other. Thank you.
Salamat gid. Daghang salamat. Thank you all.
Find some balance, every chakras aligned. I'm trying to protect my peace, but I'm out of my mind. I'm trying to do good with these demons inside. I wanna find my way, but some days I barely survive. Burn sage, fuck stress. Yes, I know that I am blessed, but the belly of the beast appears every time I rest. On the foot pursuit, trying to chase this dream, but the universe, a Carter said his dream is chasing me, and I know that I've been gone for a minute. If I'm made of stardust, then skies ain't the limit, yeah. And I've been gone for a minute. If a motherfucker doubting me, I'm going out to get it. From the cradle to the tomb, I'ma nurture my ambition like it came from my womb, and I'ma show you why they're naming storms after women. They're afraid of thunder and I stay winning. The same competition, but they still fear me. 4'11" and I'm filled with fury. Strong Filipino, put my hood on the map. But fuck a gentrifier, we need Echo Park back. Come on. And I know it's been a minute, I do it off of my seed. It's what I breathe and I bleed. They've been waiting on me back for good, and you'll see how this mighty little woman got a flow so nasty. These rappers don't cut it. Every bar I spit another one of y'all plummets. A 16 don't cut it. I know it's been a minute, I'ma be the one to run it. Yeah. A 16 don't cut it. 16, it just don't cut it. Nah, yeah. A 16 don't cut it. 16, it just don't cut it.
Trying to find a balance. Trying to find a balance. Reaching for my equilibrium. Find a balance. Reaching for my equilibrium. Trying to find a balance. Trying to find a balance.